Hi, welcome to Geekology. I'm David Spear.
And I'm s1e15.
And this evening we're going to be discussing collectible video formats. Now, when we were discussing the Star Trek Next Generation review of the steelbooks, I commented to you that, you know, steelbooks are cool, but not quite my thing, you know, I'm more about the video. And Sven was like, yay, steelbooks! A few days later we were in the pub and we discussed it. We were discussing it for what we thought was a little while, and 3 hours had passed and our friends were going, yeah, you two are going to stop talking about this now. And it got us thinking, you know what, this is a topic that we find quite interesting, so hopefully you will. So what we're going to do is we are just going to go way back to the dawn of collectible video formats. Now, whilst I own some Cine 8 and Betamax, I wasn't going to go up into the attic to dig them out. So the earliest video format we have with us today
is the venerable VHS video.
Yep.
Now, anybody who's into collecting anything, they're pretty much going to be in this arena of geek. It's going to be based on a TV show, films, etc., etc., isn't it?
Although it does have to be specified now, so the age limits.
Yeah.
Because whilst video, fantastic, it really does sort of specify the age you are. I mean, I heard a thing on the BBC the other day which genuinely cracked me up. It was somebody had been discussing the Americans using the new spy technology on Angela Merkel. Yeah. And how her quote was, "This isn't very friendly," and a BBC reporter said that this has caused the largest disagreement and bad feeling between America and Germany in living history. And I was thinking, no, not in living history, in living memory. And it got me thinking, wow, I guess that depends how old you are. At a certain age, So the same thing with the formats.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, obviously VHS wasn't the first collectible video format. That would be Cine 8.
Cine 8s, the home Cine 8s, which I have to say, I've only got a couple of Classic Trek episodes on them. Yeah. And oh good God.
I mean, Cine, I'm right in thinking Cine 8 was basically just a reel of film.
Yeah, a reel of film.
With an audio track. Then we had what was the home video revolution at the time, which was a battle between VHS and Betamax. Yes. With V2000s were kicking along in the background. Yeah. Which is Philips' weird format. The difference with Philips' format is that you could turn the tapes over and record the other side. Which was like, okay. But yeah, there we go. That's a VHS tape. I know of various people who have no idea what that looks like, what one of those would look like these days, which is scary. But yes, that came out in mid-70s, didn't it? Mid to late 70s originally. That's obviously from 1996.
VHS was 1976.
1976. Now, a couple of years later...
Dead on.
Yeah. Something hit the market, which was Laserdiscs. Now, the development of the Laserdisc actually predates VHS by a big chunk.
Massively. It was 58 or 59, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Very, very late 50s.
Was when the technology was invented, but it wasn't until the very late 70s.
Late 70s, yeah.
That they started coming out. Most people who see that think it's a vinyl album, don't they?
Well, you know my Laserdisc story, don't you?
Oh, go on.
Oh, you know this one, you do. I met a very attractive young lady out clubbing one evening. I brought her back home. I had my record player set up, because old school, I had my record player set up in the living room. And I said, well, I'll go make us some drinks, why don't you pop some music on? She's going, oh cool, you've got vinyl. Can I put on Blade Runner? And I was like, yeah, go for it. And then I was about halfway through mixing us drinks and I was thinking, I don't own Blade Runner. I knew in my head that I had the CD. Yeah. But I was thinking, did I buy that on vinyl? And I come in to hear this horrible noise and she put the Laserdisc on the record player. And the arm was just doing this. Yeah, it was not good. Yeah, age thing.
Yeah, this is...
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful. They are. Things. I know a lot of people have started turning into clocks, haven't they?
Yeah, because the labels.
Yeah, the labels.
Do you know what's actually really horrific? It really, really bugs me. There was this might not have happened in other countries, but it happened over here. Because Laserdiscs were never that huge over here. I mean, they were huge when they first hit the market. The first year they hit the market, everywhere had the like 28 films that were standard. But because nowhere did, lots of people printed new labels on Laserdiscs, put them in frames, and sold them as silver records.
Yeah. Which
is disgusting. And it's even worse that people went, oh yeah, I believe it. You look at it looks, I mean, it's the data. It does look like the grooves of a record.
Exactly. And the thing is with this as well, is we're talking before CDs hit.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a good few years as well, wasn't it?
The information recorded on here isn't digital. It's analogue. Yeah. It's an amazing piece of technology. Having said that, the BBC still managed to turn it into a data storage device for the Doomsday Project.
Doomsday.
Which was like, okay.
And we're not even talking what NASA did with theirs.
No, quite. But yes, I wonder. Now those are actually quite weighty. When that's spinning up at full speed, that could do some damage, couldn't it? I mean, ouch.
They all yes. But I don't know what it is about that. I mean, you know, I still prize my Laserdisc collection. Even when DVDs came out, I was still strongly fighting Laserdisc collecting because in Japan they were huge. In America they were big in quite a lot of states, but over here, me, you, and like 2 other people were the only people I knew who actually owned Laserdisc because they were double the price of VHS.
Exactly. This is the thing. It was a premium collectible product. VHS ended up going mainstream. Laserdisc very much became the geek collectible higher grade product, because if you watched the VHS version of a film and you watched the Laserdisc next to it, there was no comparison.
No, there really wasn't. Especially on the back then, what were the bigger tenors? It wasn't until SCART came out, and then you could really, because that was when you were starting to say to me, yeah, I can actually see
the big difference. Now, after Laserdisc, Laserdisc actually kept going for as long as VHS did.
You know what, there is still one company, and God bless them, that's still turning out Laserdisc, but they're customs.
Yeah, exactly. Then you had the one format that probably even less people will know about, which is video CDs. Now it says CDI on it, but it's actually what we called a video CD, or what was it? Was it Yellow Book? I can't remember the book names now. So Red Book was audio, and then you had the book which is literally the manual, referring to the manual for the specifications. Now these were they're normal CDs, but instead of storing audio information, they stored video information.
And games, if you had the Philips CDI system.
Well, yes, but that's just a data CD, isn't it?
Still a data CD.
But I mean, this one says Philips CDI players require a digital video cartridge.
However, if you're a real geek, I shouldn't actually say real geek. If you were a specific type of geek.
Yes.
And I'm not looking at anybody in particular here. Amiga CD32 had... It wasn't... Was it a card or a cartridge?
It was a cartridge that fitted in the back. The FMV full motion video module, which was...
I'm so jealous that you had one of those.
Because they're rare. I mean, they are rare.
Ridiculously rare.
What's interesting with the way the CD32 dealt with video CDs is that whatever you were doing on the CD32, it could multitask playing back the video CD as colour 0 on the screen. So say if you were using deluxe paint on the CD32, which you could do, you could put extra modules on, put on a floppy disk drive, hard drive, etc, etc, turn it into a 1200 with a CD drive already on. Literally in deluxe paint, if you brought up deluxe paint with all the paint tools down the side, the black in the background would be the video footage running in the background. So you could literally paint over the Enterprise with another Enterprise. Or
you painted over the Enterprise, didn't you?
Well, yes, I did. Yes, and that was quite cool. But I mean, you could also play these back on PCs at the time, and there were actually video CD players kicking around, but it did not take off outside of Asia. Playback quality on video CD wasn't great.
No.
it wasn't as good as Laserdisc, but then it was a lot easier to deal with in a way, because Laserdiscs, you tend to actually either turn the disc over to get...
Unless you had the Japanese special.
Yeah, I mean, the Laserdisc player I had was a Pioneer one, which the laser actually moved around so you could read both things, both sides of the disc.
Nice piece of technology.
And some films actually came on multiple discs if they were long enough, or they wanted to encode certain parts in a higher bit rate, as it were. Whereas all the films on video CD came on 2 discs, which was irritating. And the only advantage it had over VHS really wasn't in the resolution, it was just in the fact that you couldn't wear them out as much.
And size.
And size. Storage. So, yeah, outside of Asia, didn't take off. Did reasonably well in China in the end. But I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it was easy to copy, to be brutally honest. The big jump was DVD.
So the big jump? The
big jump was onto still the same size discs, but they started using digital versatile disc, or digital video disc if you ask different people. Now DVD, it jumped from having about 600 to 700 megabytes on a disc, to each layer having around about 4 to 4.5 gig. So a double layer disc on this is 9 gigabytes of information, which is enough to store a full-length film on one side of a disc in decent quality, in fact in the best quality you're going to get for standard definition. Okay, bearing in mind that high definition had been on the way for quite a while, up until even before before DVDs came out. But nobody bought tellies yet, and the tellies were way too expensive, so that hadn't really kicked in at all yet. One thing it might be worth bearing in mind though is you can actually put high definition video footage onto a DVD. It's just it won't be for very long, and DVD players can't deal with it pretty much because they're all standard def.
But home PCs, they've never had an issue with it.
Now, obviously, at the moment, this is the mainstream format.
It is. It's going to be a really long death, though. I mean, these are going to hang in there because they've been mass-produced not only for the film market but for computer and home data storage for that long that these things are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And in England and most of the world is suffering from credit shortage.
Yes.
And whilst Blu-ray, which is a conversation we will have shortly, it is a superior format, it's a more expensive format.
Yeah.
You can buy, even on the high street, the most up-to-date film, and it's
well, generally releases on DVD tend to be hitting the supermarkets at about a tenner, don't they?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, some new releases I've seen at 8.
Yeah. So
and shorts like we've just had Halloween over here, and Asda, which is part of the Walmart group, isn't it? Yeah. They had all the animated selection for Halloween. They were doing them at £5.
Yeah.
So
and you often see in supermarkets a £3 selection of DVDs, don't you? So I mean,
Poundland has them.
Yes. I mean, you have a huge selection of video footage of concerts, TV shows, films on the format.
Although I do find it ironic that there's still some VHSs that have never been released on DVD.
Yes.
You'd have thought...
Surely time, though, to be honest, more than anything. And let's face it, this is the thing, is that when it comes to standard definition footage, what's the point in going anything higher than DVD? There isn't any.
It's a fair argument.
I mean, Doctor Who, perfect example. Everything up to the end of David Tennant's period as the Doctor, from 63 up until then, was all recorded in standard definition.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no point putting it on Blu-ray, even though the BBC have anyway.
Well, it's the same as Buffy.
Yeah.
Big Joss Whedon fan, love Buffy. Hate the DVDs because the DVDs are broadcast quality. And it's like...
They needed clean.
Yeah, and you put those onto a decent... Well, okay, back in the day, fine, but you put those onto today, a a decent television.
They look awful.
Oh, they look. I tell you what, it reminds me of putting a game. Oh, see, this is what happens when I can't remember.
Putting a SNES.
Putting a Super Nintendo Game Boy cartridge onto a TV. Have you seen what happens there?
Yeah.
That's exactly.
For those who don't know, you could get an adapter for the Super Nintendo, so you could actually play Game Boy cartridges on your TV. It actually did one for the GameCube as well.
Actually, don't knock the GameCube on. The GameCube one was a damn good idea.
Oh, I know. It's absolutely. I've got one. Shut up.
You have,
of course I have one.
But on a decent telly. We
won't labour the point too much on DVD because, let's face it, if you don't know what DVD is, where have you been for the last 15 years?
More importantly, if you don't know what DVD is, hello in the future.
Yeah.
Videos, the internet, it could circle forever.
We'll quickly have a look at the packaging on DVDs because we're going to look at packaging later on in another way. But
this is my favourite of all the packaging they ever did for DVDs.
Now this was the most attractive packaging for DVD.
Yeah.
It's got a nice little push thing, so you can get a thing and you press on the middle and this comes out. It's really quite nice, and you have the option of having something different in the sides.
And they're gorgeous when they're racked up on a shelf. They're smooth. They're beautiful. They break so easy it's untrue.
Exactly.
They shatter.
When I was working at HMV in 2001 to 2003. We had deliveries of these where every single case had to be replaced. It was as bad as the PlayStation 1. Yeah, bad as PlayStation 1 cases.
They were chunky things, weren't they? Yeah. They were ridiculous. For what they were, they were ridiculous. Was the oversized just for the instruction books? Because I always wondered.
Because in the States it was normal size CD cases for PlayStation because it was only one language, or maybe for Spanish as well.
So how come we have the massive chunky thing?
Because they were European.
Oh, so we had
14 languages in there.
All I do is oh no.
Never mind. PlayStation 1.
PS1. Sorry.
Jump in front of yourself.
Time frame.
So yes, that ended up being your standard DVD case, wasn't it? Standard Amaray.
Yeah.
That one's actually got 2 discs in it. Great, wonderful.
But they do those up to 12 discs.
Well, yes, but
yeah, it's just a bigger chunk one. Yeah.
And then of course you have the occasional collectible tin.
I love the collectible tin. I love the collector's tins for DVDs. Their hinge points are nice, they're good, they can be used for multiple things, that you should, because they say exactly what they are, but they're nice, I like those.
But yes, I mean that's the current market leader. Yeah. Still. 15 years later, it's still there.
And the quality, and the thing is, the quality is still very good.
Now we have something a bit strange.
No, they're only strange if you're not a big fan of handhelds.
Yes, well, Sony and their amazing ability to make up new formats for no apparent reason.
No, again, now you see, I will defend UMDs. I thought UMDs were a damn good idea. Now I'll tell you why. When these were out, and I know that you like UMDs because you own just as many as I do. When these were out, digital downloads for films were way off because
internet downloads was just not
remind me when the PSP first came out, how big was the Sony memory card that you could get for it?
It came with a 16 megabyte.
Yeah, 16
megabytes.
16 meg at a point when a standard film is 700 meg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean these UMDs stored anything between 1 and 1.5 gig of data.
Yeah, they're just
so for what they were in 2005, 2006, that was fair play.
I was surprised that Sony never did a home disc player where you could record your own stuff onto them.
Ah, that's because they didn't want you to.
Yes, I know. I'm surprised they never did though. This as a format is wonderful. It's encased. You can have the artwork. It's
actually
just
really quite well protected. And as a but
as a design, these are stunning. And I could imagine not messing about with the back of PSP, but like proper Star Trek style, chink straight down into. Actually, forget Star Trek style. Logan's Run style, straight into
this format was literally straight out of science fiction, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful design, incredibly functional. The only downside was, how many times do you need to buy Police Academy. Yeah.
The biggest problems with this were it was just on the cusp of high definition starting to get a handle into the market. HD broadcast was very much in their infancy in the States, but everybody knew they were coming. And flash memory
prices come down.
The moment the PSP came out was the time when digital cameras really took off. And flash memory, what we call memory cards now, the prices of those manufacturing costs came down so fast.
What we're recording on at the moment.
Exactly. Came down so fast it was scary. The other problem with these UMDs as well is that they were great for adults, not so great for kids. Yeah.
Stick your fingers.
Too much pressure either side of that and you've broken your case.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I again, adult, never handled it that way.
When you would, because all the PSP games came on those, and when I was working in video gaming at retail, trading them in was a nightmare. The number of times I was standing there in the middle of the shop trying to pop the plastic back out to let the disc spin. It's amazing.
But the thing is, okay, I disagreed with the amount of packaging.
Yeah.
Way too over packaged.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's really.
But I really liked it as a format. Now, me and you have different ideas about gaming.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I'm into my video games. I like my video games, but yeah, I prefer board games. Sven really into his games, especially Wipeout. That was the reason you really liked the PSP.
Yeah.
I liked the PSP, funnily enough, for the same reason I like my PlayStation 3. Good media server. The reason I bought my PSP, you were raving about Wipeout in a major way, so I had to get Wipeout. Actually, I think I bought it from you with Wipeout.
Probably.
But I like the UMDs. I like the fact I could store my photos on it. I like the fact I could store my music on it.
Yeah.
And because I was doing conventions and bits and pieces like that, I had short video clips, which I actually had a little case full of memory cards, and the memory cards were labelled with what digital media I had on it, because it was a nice media player. Back in the days when archives were only just starting to bring out dedicated.
Do you remember the SF ball straight after me getting the PSP? What I'd done is I'd downloaded the first episode of what was called Star Trek New Voyages at the time. It's now called Star Trek Phase 2. Talking about Star Trek.
Now, me and you have had many discussions, because for those of you who are up to date with South Park, he's in the Sony camp. He's in the Sony camp. You don't watch Sony. This week's South Park has, well, this week. It's this week to me. When this is put on the internet, God knows. By then the second episode will have aired. It's a two-parter, and they're having the Game of Thrones war over the next-gen consoles. So you have the Sony camp, which you would definitely be there waving your little flag.
No, I wouldn't.
And then the Xbox camp, which it's just me and Eric Cartman going, yeah.
To be honest, with this current generation, I digress. With this current generation, I'll be in the middle going, but yeah.
Okay. Now the reason that I specifically say this is because HD DVD, the Xbox had the separate HD DVD player, which was a hell of a lot cheaper than buying a HD DVD dedicated player thing, which I have to be honest, I don't ever recall physically seeing a unit for sale anyway. Did you see any?
Yeah, there were a few, mostly Toshiba units, because HD DVD was Toshiba's little baby. But let's bring in Blu-ray while we're here, because they came out almost on top of each other.
Wasn't it just like weeks?
It was literally weeks, and you have hit the nail on the head with mentioning PlayStation and Xbox, because that was the battleground.
Sony wiped them out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, is from a technical point of view, you had HD DVD, which could store 30 gig on one side in 2 layers, so it's 15 gig a layer, and then you had Blu-ray, which could store 25 gig on each layer, so 50 gig on one side of a disc. That did give them a little bit of an advantage.
That wasn't the advantage.
That wasn't the big advantage, though. What was the big advantage was PlayStation 3.
Yeah. That's the deciding point there.
Yeah. Completely.
Right.
I mean, with the Xbox 360, you could get an Xbox 360 and you could then get the external drive to play HD DVD, and you probably want the wireless network card as well, which plugged into the back. A lot of people bought an Xbox on the basis that it was a darn sight cheaper than the PlayStation 3 was.
Yes.
Because when the PlayStation 3 first came out,
massive
it
price
was
difference.
£425.
Big price difference.
What people didn't get, though, was the fact if you bought an Xbox 360 and the HD DVD drive and the wireless to make it the same specification as a PS3, it was a darn sight more than £425.
Depends where you got your deals from.
Well, yes, but at launch, that was the kind of money you were talking
yeah, but
about.
the thing was, the reason the war got won so quickly, because there wasn't even a real fight, was people were going to buy the PlayStation 3, regardless of this. This did not need to exist. People were going to buy the PlayStation 3 because it's a damn good games console for people that are into Sony's catalogue.
Yeah.
People that bought Xboxes didn't give a fudge about this.
Exactly.
This was a Brucey bonus. This was and it can do this.
Yeah.
But Sony does that.
Yeah.
Now, enough time has passed that most people own both gens of consoles for varying reasons, whether it be for gaming or media. Now, you know that I have both, but I very rarely play on my PlayStation. The only person who ever recommends games to me are you and Zero Punctuation. Yay, Zero Punctuation. And sometimes I will buy a game on the PS3 because it's cheaper than the Xbox if I don't care about the title. But if I care about the title, Microsoft's whore. I buy them. I always have done. The only reason I have this HD DVD in my collection, and you're going to love this, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Bought it for the box.
Absolutely.
I did get it new, wasn't pre-owned, but I certainly did get it on day of release. No. I got it in a bargain bin somewhere, and I literally bought it because I thought, that box is gorgeous, I will do something with that box. And I've never thought of anything to do, and I kept them in. And this is how sad it is, and I will actually confess to the people at home, when Sven said to me, can you grab a Betamax tape, because he knows I still have a few kicking about. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go get it. And then I was like, no, I put them up in the attic with the 8 tracks. Yes, I listen to 8 tracks. And he said, well, that's not a problem, I've got everything else except HD DVD. And I said, I own one of those. And I picked it up and I said, there you go, this is great. And he's going, oh God, we can argue that, HDVD one side, DVD the other. And I was like, pardon? It had DVD? Because I didn't know that you could flip the discs over and it had DVD on one side.
It wasn't every HD DVD that did that, to be fair. It was only some of them. But you did have the option.
Yeah, but it says right there. But it's proof that literally I picked it up and
which is something you could not do with a Blu-ray because of the way it works.
Flip the disc over.
Can't flip it. You can flip the disc over and have more Blu-ray footage on the other side, but you can't have DVD footage on the side because the way the discs are made.
Why would you want to have things? See, I can understand the argument for here. The argument would be people who were fans of something could go, it's on DVD one side and HDVD the other. I don't have a HDVD player yet, but I could buy one in the future. But at the moment, I can watch DVD. So they'd probably pay a couple of it. I mean, if a format came out at the moment and said, I'm Blu-ray this side and blah 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 the other, I'm £2 more expensive, I'd probably buy that on the basis that in 10 years time I'm going to have a blur player.
Yeah, exactly.
So if the options were there.
This is where you come into what is really special about the Blu-ray format compared with everything that's gone before it. HD DVD was pretty much locked down right at the beginning. It's standard.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't really have the option. It didn't have an open end. It
can't be moved. Can't be tweaked.
Now, initially, that meant that films and TV shows that were encoded onto HD DVD, in some cases, actually looked better than their Blu-ray counterparts because they hadn't quite nailed down the initial standards for Blu-rays when they first came out because they were in a hurry to get them out because of PlayStation 3. Now, one of the big benefits for PlayStation 3 with Blu-ray is the fact they'd store 25 gig a layer or 50 gig on one side of a disc, which when you come looking at the games, it now makes perfect sense 7 years later. You're suddenly going, yeah, that's why, when you suddenly realise that there were games on the 360, because it was still stuck on DVD for the games, you have games on 3-4 discs. I think there was one game on 5. It's just nuts, whereas the PlayStation version didn't need that. To be honest with you, PlayStation 3 was the reason Blu-ray won this out of the two.
Oh, there's no argument there.
Blu-ray also has the ability to upgrade with firmware upgrade. So anybody who's got a Blu-ray player buys Blu-ray, there's always a sheet of paper inside saying make sure you've got the latest version of the system software or firmware for your player, simply because they are continually upgrading it. Yeah. Which means that to a degree it's future-proofed. The one thing a lot of people don't know is Pioneer have a version of Blu-ray that has 16 layers. Yeah. So 16 layers of 25 gig, and they've actually worked out a way to get 30 gig on a layer. So, it's 500, that's half a terabyte you can get on one disc.
As a data storage, it's great. And to be fair, the discs are quite hard.
Yeah, and even now, we'll quickly mention downloading movies. If you want to download a HD movie that hasn't been compressed to crap, you're talking a week of download.
Don't even start me.
So that's why there's still a physical format there. But why did HD DVD disappear quite so quickly?
Very limited catalogue, not
now the catalogue initially. Several studios were HD DVD only and refusing to do Blu-rays.
Yeah, but they never actually bought them out.
Well,
they said they were going to.
Paramount did loads, Warner Brothers did loads, it didn't come out on Blu-ray. Absolutely tons. Absolutely tons of them. And then they reached the retailers, the retailers put them out the boxes so they could put the boxes out, and they all died. Because these discs are so fragile.
I know the discs are fragile.
They're just, if you take them out of the original packaging to store them even in the drawers of the retailer, they come out unplayable.
Really? They're that bad?
We had that problem left, right and centre with the HD DVDs we had in stock.
Why? What do they coat them with?
They didn't. Whereas with Blu-rays, there is that hard as nail coating on top of them, which means that they're very difficult to scratch.
So why didn't they do that with the HD DVDs?
Wasn't in the specification, and the specification couldn't be changed.
You're joking.
Once the lasers, because they both use blue lasers, but the way they designed this meant that they couldn't do it, and that basically did for it. And it wasn't long before Toshiba had to give up and were making Blu-ray players. After they had a brief flirtation of, oh no, operating DVDs will do you fine. Okay. So, at the moment, this is the collector's format, where you've still got Blu-ray kicking, you've still got DVD rather. DVD is your mainstream format, much like VHS was before it, because let's face it, that's the mainstream.
Yeah.
The collector's format was Laserdisc, now Blu-ray.
But are we going to say it? Because there are lots of people out there who aren't specifically geek, who aren't specifically gamers, but the price of PlayStations has come down so much that most people will use them as media servers, and therefore buying Blu-rays.
And unlike Laserdisc,
exactly.
And unlike Laserdisc, you can now pick up a Blu-ray player for less than 50 quid.
Yeah. Now.
So this has a threat of going a bit more mainstream. Now we have
the catalogue is just as big on this as it is
for new releases.
For new releases, not so much the old stuff.
It almost is. There are still things being released on DVD that aren't being put out on Blu-ray, and they are movies as well. We're not going to open up the HD DVD disc because
I'll leave that mint.
I don't want to expose it to the air, to be brutally honest. But at the end of the day,
don't ruin my
don't ruin it. I've done enough of those. Oh, that is an early DVD, isn't it?
It's first gen.
It's gold.
Oh yeah. Well, again, all right. People would argue with me, geek, not geek, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
That's an amazing film.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, the discs are very, very similar. I mean, you can actually
slightly thicker with the first gen.
You can semi-see through Blu-rays, which is quite cool. But at the end of the day, that's a helpful thing with the packaging, which intrigues me, the whole, and then they go and do completely different cases, even though the discs are the same. Now, a lot of people are refusing to go anywhere near Blu-ray because they believe there's some rights issues and all this kind of thing, and why can't I just download everything?
Rights issues?
We won't go there. They're talking about downloads, but that kind of isn't the point with Blu-ray.
No, it isn't.
But we'll talk a little bit more about Blu-ray in a minute. But there has been one further attempt at a collectible video format since.
Yeah. I love these.
This is the main one, wasn't it? There was Transformers Revenge of the Fallen,
which was plastic.
Which was plastic and awful. But this is a USB stick that is a weighty chunk of metal. It's a 4 gig stick, and it had the film in DivX format on it. Now, this is gorgeous. I mean, that's a brilliant piece of marketing, a brilliant product. Whenever I whip this out of Matron, people are like, wow, and then they feel the weight, and they're like, wow, and then you play the video and you go, oh.
Yeah, yeah, the coding
wasn't great, and it's certainly not high definition, which was a shame for 2009, really, in a lot of ways. But, you know, who didn't buy the Blu-ray?
True.
Exactly.
The thing is, this, as you well know, is my favourite.
Mm.
The encoding is pants.
Yeah.
Film quality is pants. The code they give you with it to play the film only lasted
the following year, the end of the following year.
Yeah, so if you still buy one of these mint in packaging with code, yeah, it's useless. It's a USB stick.
Yeah.
And I own 30 of these. They're not very good USB sticks. I thought they were. I loved them when they first came out. I bought a shed load of them because I'm a geek and it's metal and it's gorgeous.
Just really honest, chap. Have you not just worn them out?
Yeah, I have worn them out. But this is the amount of them you put in there now, and it goes right protected, and it's like, it's not right protected. I've not done anything to it. They wear out.
This is the thing: is that any digital,
they wear out really quick.
Any digital memory card is going to be a certain number of writes and reads. There's nothing you can do about that. Whereas discs, the number of reads is down to the photon wear on disc, which is going to take a few years.
I'm an Xbox owner, remember? Depends how bad your laser burns the discs.
Oh well, we'll not talk about rings of death on your discs, but from normal playback, you're not going to have an optical disc wearing out in your lifetime. It's just not going to happen. Scratching it to bits, maybe, if you took a Brillo pad to a Blu-ray, yes. But then,
my wife, who uses them as coffee coasters.
Yes, and now you've got the situation where so many companies are pushing digital downloads on you.
I refuse digital download. It's not happening. I want the physical item in
Exactly.
Now, me and you have discussed this from different waypoints.
Mm-hmm.
My argument is that internet connection, depending on where you are.
Exactly.
I personally have had the issue of identity theft.
Yeah.
So, whilst they bang on about digital safes and clouds and this, that and the other, no, we'll not go the cost of it.
Yeah.
Considering it's a little... No, don't get me wrong, films are expensive. I know they're expensive. Okay? Production, advertising, all the rest of it. They waste more money on the advertisement than on making some films, which is ridiculous, and something that if anybody listens to Kevin Smith podcasts, which... thumbs up, highly recommend. He did it with Red State. They spent nearly more money on the advertising than they did making the damn film. To then spend half the amount for the digital download that you do for the physical copy is ridiculous. How can they justify that when you can physically hold it?
Yeah.
And go, mine, kind of.
Exactly. Well, you've hit another nail on the head. Under UK and European law, you buy a physical copy of a film, there are certain rights you've got that you can never have with a download.
True.
Because at the end of the day, as far as our laws are concerned, and I'm not sure the States is the same, but as far as our laws are concerned, you've bought that disc, you have the right to play that disc whenever you like, as often you like, wherever you like.
Yes.
It's as simple as that.
Unless you're making money from the pub, you can't.
Exactly.
Play
no, but it's for private use.
For private use, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Now
you don't have those rights with the digital?
Nope.
I didn't know that.
Nope. Perfect example is if you're not connected to the internet and you've downloaded video footage.
Yeah.
There's certain services where, because it can't contact the server to make sure that your download is still yours.
Yeah.
It won't play. And things like that, and the fact they can be remotely deactivated. Now, this is to allow you to be able to rent digital downloads, which you can kind of see, kind of makes sense in a way. It basically means once you've downloaded that file, certain services won't allow you to download it again if you have a problem with your hardware. So
if your machine goes boom,
yeah, you've lost it. You have to rebuy it.
No.
Now, most services have realised that that's really silly and will allow you to re-download. It's something you've actually purchased. But then you have the situation of, well, what happens if that company no longer exists?
Yeah.
Or that company's rights have run out with that particular
or the servers go down.
Exactly. You don't own that at all.
Can't say that.
Though technically you don't own the what's on the disc. You own the disc and you have specific rights as a result of that. You try reselling a digital download as well.
Can you resell digital downloads?
Legally speaking, in the EU, you should be able to. And they've had this argument over Steam games specifically, and Steam are going to have to introduce a system where you can transfer ownership of a game you've purchased to someone else if you don't want it anymore. They're having that forced upon.
Oh, I bet they're loving that.
Oh yeah, which means that Xbox Live will have to do the same. Sony will have to do the same. Nintendo will have to do the same.
See, this is the argument that, where Xbox massively backed down in public. This is the argument over pre-owned games and all the rest of it. It's downloads.
Blu-ray versus digital download.
Blu-ray wins every time.
Blu-ray wins every time, because you don't. One film could take you a week to download if it's in full res.
And depending on how bad your internet connection is.
And then, how do you lend it to a friend down the road?
Yeah. And let's face it, don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy to sofa at the dark, watch a film. But most of my memories of films I've really enjoyed are things where I've poked you going, hey, check this bit out.
Yeah.
Movies are, by their very nature, a shared cultural experience.
Exactly. Okay,
now they can be shared with you, watch it on your own, talking to a friend about it later, but seeing it with other people. When we were younger, we were always round at other people, our houses or something. Oh, I've just got the such and such.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can't do that with digital.
So now we've basically got a situation where mainstream has gone from VHS to DVD, probably to downloads. I don't think
downloads are going to take off. I really don't. I think it's just people being lazy. I think it's just that, I'll Netflix it, or I'll see, I always want to call it Yahoo. It's not. It's
Love Film.
Love Film is good, but it's a Hawaiian sounding name. It's a really good company actually.
I don't know.
Yoo-hoo,
something like that.
something.
So those are online services. That's streaming. That's not even downloading. No. Technically, they are downloading. It's not referred to as a download. But basically, people are getting into a situation where they're going to have hard drives full of films, some of which they may never be able to play if something goes wrong, which is just irritating if you ask me. So you've gone VHS, you've gone DVD. DVD's slowly going to peter out to digital downloads, I think, because a DVD can be downloaded pretty quickly. If you think about it. Yeah. Well, no, it's
DVD's 9 gig.
9 gig. That's reasonably easy to download. 50 gig isn't. Still.
Yeah, 4.2.
Whereas the collector's market, people really into film, people who want to collect their favourite TV shows and actually have them on display, because you can't display bleeding download on your shelf.
Display? Why would you want to
display
things. You don't want to do that.
Can't think. But so the collector's market has basically gone from Laserdisc to a certain degree. We kind of sidestepped to DVD for a while, and then it's gone on to Blu-ray. And to be honest, whereas DVD is probably going to go on to digital downloads, I think Blu-ray is going to move on to more Blu-rays. Now,
well, you've already said it's an open-ended format, because basically when you say Blu-ray, whilst people go, oh, that is the film format, Blu-ray is more about the data storage format. It's the disc is Blu-ray. What's on it is pretty much irrelevant.
Yes, to a certain degree, because even the digital encoding can change. Yeah. This is one of the reasons why you can have.
It's more of an open-ended format, because at the end of the day, it's you could argue.
Yeah.
Well, no, there is no argument. It's just a different way of storing the digital data.
Exactly.
And it's a very good one.
And it's a format that can be sent through the post fast, and you'll download the amount of data that's on it. That's the important part.
For the moment.
For the moment. Now the thing is that
I don't know if that was a slur on the internet or a slur on the postal service, but either way.
Yeah, but you're looking at each layer stores 25 gig at the moment.
Yep.
At the moment, you've got 2 layers on one side of a disc. You
and
can
as
have
you
double-sided ones as well. But
they're getting very clever with the multi-layers.
They're getting very clever with the multi-layers. They're getting very clever with what a Blu-ray player can play back. So it's opening a whole world of different things. Now, Blu-ray is ready for 3D. There's already 3D Blu-rays out there.
Yeah.
Blu-ray is ready for 4K.
Yes. Although massively reduced in time if you just do it.
Yeah, on a normal, what we call a Blu-ray now, without the extra layers, because you can, Pioneer have got that 16-layer disc idea. Yeah. Now, 4K will probably need several more layers, but you can get 4K footage onto a Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah. It's not an awful lot.
It's enough.
But it's enough, and especially when it's encoded in a way that only the pixels that change have been encoded.
Yeah. I got round to finally seeing one of those 4K tellies.
Yeah, gorgeous. Now, if you get to the situation where you've got 16 layers of 30 gig a layer, that's enough storage space for holograms.
Depending on what format holograms eventually go.
But that's basically
arguably, yes.
That's basically the point with Blu-ray, is you've got a bit of future-proofing there. You've got the option.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing is, the discs are harder than the DVDs.
Yes, and they should last longer.
Yeah.
So that's basically where we're at. Now, when you're looking at Blu-ray is arguably the collector's format compared with DVD, and DVD is still mainstream. Blu-ray actually got taken up faster than DVD did right at the beginning, but it plateaued. And it's kind of going along at it's in slow growth at this stage.
Yeah, but is that more to do with the economy than it
exactly, it is. I think it is more to do with the economy, because though a lot of people have got high-def TVs, the fact that they've now got very cheap very cheap DVD players that uprate to high-def and put it through a HDMI cable, unless you actually look at them next to each other, most people don't realise what a gargantuan difference there still is between.
Yeah, but when you say most people, you're talking people that really don't care about films.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the thing is, I know a number of individuals who I would not class as geek and would be quite offended if you were to call them geek. But I know how passionate they are about movies, and they demand that it's, they have the best, they have.
Yeah.
And this is where me and you have discussed in the past, Blu-ray, DVD, Blu-ray, DVD. Blu-ray wins with them because the quality is there, and they can spot the difference. Now, I've got to admit, my eyesight is not the best in the world, and sometimes I look at it going, there's something not quite right there, but I'm not sure what it is, and then somebody goes, oh, you're watching it in this resolution, you're watching that, it's like, oh, okay, blah, 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 blah. But when I finally did get to, because I specifically went to a showroom and go, you know what, show me one of these damn things, I want to see 4K. I looked at it and went, oh, yeah, I can see the difference, and then we're going, well, what you're watching now is 4K. I was like, great, thank you. And he's gone, do you want to see a Blu-ray? And funnily enough, he was playing it through a PlayStation. they put on a Blu-ray, and a Blu-ray and a 4K telly, still incredibly, way more impressive than watching it on standard. Well, what I'm calling standard.
Is that mainly because of the colour reproduction? Yeah. Because this is the thing, is a lot of people go, well, from operating a DVD to 1080p and outputting it from a DVD player that can do that through HDMI, surely there's not much difference between that and the Blu-ray.
Massive difference.
Massive difference. If you put Iron Man is probably the best way of displaying this because of the colour variations.
But you see, there you go. I mean, I remember when you said to me, "Why have you bought a plasma telly? LCD, far better." And I said, "Well, I've got the LCD as well." And like, you're going, "Why do you watch it with some stuff on this and some stuff on this?" Like, I want a game on this telly because the colour is superior. It's fantastic for films. But I want to watch anime and all the rest of it on there because the contrast is different. And people are, you know, some
there's a massive difference between what was LCD and plasma. LED throws everything out of the ballpark, and OLED completely screws the whole concept.
It'd be really great to see what becomes the format.
But if you take the DVD of Iron Man and you take the Blu-ray of Iron Man, you put them onto the same TV using the same HDMI cable and get a decent quality one, get a decent quality Blu-ray player and a really good quality, and the best quality DVD operating player you can find.
There's still no difference. The difference is massive.
Yeah, you watch them.
There's no difference.
You stop watching the DVD and actually you automatically, because the colour reproduction is so much richer. The resolution is better, though that may be something that you won't notice unless you're a little bit closer or you've got a ridiculous sized screen. But that colour reproduction, that is what pops. That's what grabs your attention. That's what you look at. So, yes, for those who are, there's a lot of people still arguing it that they don't understand why you bother getting a Blu-ray. Yeah,
but I think the argument there is quite literally, they don't understand it. They're the type of people that, to be honest, don't care if they're listening to something on mono as long as they get to sing along with it. They don't.
Yeah, exactly. Horses for courses. Yeah. People who are really into their films, people who are geeks, people who collect films, are probably going to go for the Blu-ray or collect TV shows.
It's a question of quality.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with Blu-ray, you also have a massive upsurge in steelbooks. Steelbooks
Which is what originally got us into this, because steelbooks have been around since the days of
but that's not a steelbook.
No, this is a tin.
That's a tin. Steelbooks is a very specific thing. Steelbooks have been out, there has been DVD steelbooks for quite a while. But it's really on Blu-ray that it's really taken off, and on gaming for that matter. But we will leave the gaming side of things for now, for another video in the other series we're developing. But we'll have a look at collectible Blu-ray to a certain degree. A little bit of the DVD mixed in for things that haven't been redone. But yes, for those of you who are still thinking that DVD is enough, if you're watching this show and you think DVD is enough, I urge you to go to, if you're in the UK, Richer Sounds, or wherever you are in the world, and ask to see the same film coming off DVD and off Blu-ray onto the same. Well,
in some showrooms they do put them side by side so you can see the difference.
Because if you haven't noticed the difference before, or you haven't been fortunate enough to be shown the difference, go and have a look, because you might be quite surprised. And we're back in a few minutes.